Everybody, welcome to a Friday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here with comedians known as Fig and Talent. These comics have been around in the game for a long time. And as we know, if you're new to the show, let me just say this real fast. They've been in the game so long that they started out with the Comedy Jam. Actually, started out before that in comedy specials, comedy TV shows, comedy films, anything related to comedy, these dudes have been involved in over the years. And now they're involved in something that we call a comedy talk show, sports talk show, that's called the Box Seats. Gentlemen, how you guys doing today?
I was doing good until that intro. That intro made me sound 78 years old.
Well, you ain't funny, bro.
I'm good, man. Listen, I got my box seat mug, and I got my my secret recipe in there that I can't tell the people about, but it's real good this afternoon.
You know what's funny is Talent act like he just started comedy last year. Like, I just got in this beast.
I just got here, Frank.
Man,
this talent just got here with the pandemic.
Oh, okay, because you was in comedy before Comic View, so you was way back. And Comic View, they've been out so long they don't even do the rerun no more. So
they should.
That's disrespectful.
They should do it.
I know they should. But anyway, let's get the show started, man. I always do a COVID report, to get ready to get this thing out. And literally about 10 minutes ago, the Georgia versus Vanderbilt college game got canceled. And of course, Nick Saban got cleared to coach this weekend. And Ohio State versus Michigan State is now moving forward, whereas I thought 2 days ago it was going to get canceled because 2 out of the last 3 games were canceled because of COVID. But college football is moving forward with that. So, that's going to happen. You know what I mean? That's going to happen. We've had this discussion before what COVID is or anything else. But you know what? Before I jump into the NBA, NFL, I have got to mention something I saw this morning watching some college basketball. There's this center by the name of Luka Garza. He scored 30 points in the first half, 35 points overall. He's averaging 34 points over the last 4 or 5 games, and he's a center. He's 7'1", 7'2". Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I saw the news or when I hear something like this from a center position, I get kind of nervous because center positions coming out of college going to the NBA, they're not too sturdy. If I can remember correctly, the last center who came out who was that dominant was the dude who got injured and he ever played. Greg
Oden.
Greg Oden. You know what I mean? That's all I can think of is Greg Oden when I hear something like that. So I guess the question to you, Talent, is when you hear center doing something so well like this, he's dominant. He's tearing up tearing up the league right now. He's the projected number 1 pick. If the picks are gonna get started, he probably come out number 1. And we all know everybody wants a big man. You know what I mean? Everybody wants a big. But when you hear that, Talent, what you think?
What you trying to say, Frank?
First of all, the numbers are great, but every time I look at Joel Embiid, I see Greg Oden, by the way. He always reminds me of him, same stature, same complexion and build and everything. I mean, it depends how those numbers are being stacked. I would have to see it and see where you're accumulating these 30 points a game or 35 points, because if you're getting in the paint, man, you're a gold mine. You're a unicorn. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you're going out to the 3-point line and your 3 is wet, or you're taking a lot of jumpers and short range shots like that, then you're just like the big man of today. You're like the AD who takes the game winning 3 and all that. I mean, it's great no matter how you get the numbers, but if you're at the center position, you're 7'2", and you're getting grimy points. Oh,
well, I'll tell you, I saw the highlights. He was getting them outside, inside, banging people.
All right.
3, and he was hitting them threes. I haven't seen it. Honestly, I can't think of the last time I saw a center like a kid this young at 7'2" play this dominant. You know what I mean? But Fig, when you hear something like that, do you get a little concerned? Because you know how these kids grow so fast. You know what I mean? And I don't care what nobody says. You grow that fast, you're injury prone. You know what I mean? Like you're a major injury waiting to happen if you didn't take care of yourself. You know what I mean? If you grew too fast. But I don't know what you think.
I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of the positionless basketball. I guess after all, the time on the show, I guess y'all know that I'm a fan of big men being big men because small men can't play big. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's the one advantage that you have over everybody else. You have your size and your height, which is an advantage over everybody else. You are the closest person on the floor to the basket. And if you just play that way, you automatically have an advantage over everybody else on the team. Now, if you start going down to the three-point line, shooting with the little guys, then you know your advantage is lost. Mm-hmm. So I like the big man, you know what I mean? I haven't seen him, but I like big men that can play big, because right now, you put a big man that plays like a big man, he is dominant in the NBA.
Yeah, he is
dominant.
Yeah, he is. Now, I'll tell you this right now. This kid right now, and I'll say this: we don't really talk about color because we try to stay away from this. But this kid, as a white kid, will probably be one of the best white centers to ever play the game, because he literally plays like a brother. You know what I mean? Like, he has the game, he has the moves. I tell him, when I saw that clip, I actually rewound and played that thing back a couple times. I was like, now this kid. But I got nervous because I'm like, if I'm the NBA and I'm sitting there, I don't know if I want to even draft. I don't care how good he's playing, because big men it seems like they don't transfer well over from the college to league without getting some major injury. And
well, I mean, but let's say this in his defense though, and that guy's defense. Again, you went back to the whole, young, tall at a young age. They get these spurts. It's not their fault. You know what I mean? Right. So their natural physique, they get that over a certain amount of time. We don't know when the spurts come or go. Now, you could be at a certain size and learn to play the game a certain way. Then all of a sudden, one summer hits, you sprout 5 inches. Now you're a 7-footer. But you had handles. You was going to the rack. You was a swingman or a point guard. And now your size, should your size, because you just sprung, should it change the way you play the game? You played this way all your life.
Right. That's like Anthony Davis. And this kid is the exact same way, because he literally plays like he's a forward or maybe even a guard. He's dribbled. Fig, you should have seen it. The kid's dribbling. He's shooting. I'm like, what position this dude is? And he was head over heels over everybody. And he was the center.
See, my level thing is like, who is he playing against? Is his competition level like really that strong? Like, is he playing, at the top level in college, or is he?
The game he played last night was against Iowa, so I don't know where Iowa is in the college rankings right now.
They up there. Iowa makes some noise.
Yeah, so I guess that's my point. But let's get ready to move on, because there's something else I want to talk about. Oh, let me just mention this one thing. Kansas won last night. They now have won 47 home open wins. They won against Washburn. But now let's talk about something that I absolutely despise, and this, and I'm sure y'all may agree. Then again, you know what, y'all are comics. Y'all might actually, disagree. And Rodney Perry might come and disagree. But this is what I absolutely despise. I despise an NBA player putting his team at risk because he's pouting and he wants to do something. Hence, that's the word of the day. Hence, we have James Harden, who has not participated in the workouts, the open season workouts. He's not participated in any of the Houston Rocket activities, and he's strong-arming a new coach for the Houston Rockets, Paul Silas, because, the coach and the manager, because he wants to get traded to the Nets. He wants to get traded to the Nets. Now, Talon, when you hear that, right, and there's a new coach, the team is still trying to come together. It's a small offseason. You know what I mean? The offseason ended just like, it literally seems like the offseason ended yesterday. You know what I mean? You're putting the whole team at risk, and everybody else is busting their behind to make it in the league and try to win NBA championship. You got the star of the team pouting because he want to get traded. And maybe I painted the picture wrong. Am I seeing it from the wrong angle, or what do you see?
Well, I mean, we watch this saga every year. No matter the players and teams may change, but the game remains the same. And every year, here's the problem. If I'm an owner or a GM or a coach, once a player gets in his mind that he doesn't want to be there, he's a deficit and a cancer to the team automatically at that point. Once it's public and everybody knows this is how he feels, it's not an ultimatum. It's just, I don't want to be here. It's 2 levels. Ultimatum is like, yo, if y'all don't do this, I'm getting out of here next year. Y'all don't bring this. Y'all don't build around me. We need this. We need that. That's the warning on the wall. Then you have the final draw is when I want to be traded. When you get to the level like I want to be traded, not what if, but I want to go, the team has to start to make make power moves to get him out of there, because what are you going to do? Keep a player that's not going to be productive because they're not happy where they are? It ain't no different than a relationship.
Yeah,
You
but
guys are married guys. When they get to that point, somebody got to go.
Yeah, but what in the same sense, that's what makes me angry about this, because that player wants changes made around him, but yet he still wants a max contract. You know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna put a whole bunch of players around you if you can't? Right? How you do that? You know what I mean? You can't do that. It's almost impossible to do. If I'm giving you a max contract for 5 years, I can't afford to pay other players of a certain caliber to bring them to you. So I got to put bums and guys coming straight out of college on a veteran minimum. Guys coming out of college and veterans on a veteran minimum. You know what I mean? It's really hard to do.
So what you're saying is you can't have it both ways. You can't tell your wife to work 3 jobs and then come home and give me some sex. You can't do both.
Bro, you realistically you can't do that. So that ain't you can't do that. Like, she be looking at you like you crazy. Like, you better
right.
You better take one of these jobs off me. So, but that's what the conversation. Faye, what you think? I mean, Talon made some great points.
I think it's two sides to this. On the one hand, these players have gotten to the level where they want to win and they want to team up with other stars and their friends and stuff like that. It sort of loses, the NBA loses its competition level and parity. But then on the other hand, James Harden has put in enough time, and he's a veteran. He's put in enough time to not have to sit around for the Houston Rockets to figure out what it is that they want to do to rebuild. No star in their prime wants to be on a team that's rebuilding, because it lowers their chance of winning. And with the moves that the Houston Rockets have made, it seems like they don't know what it is they're doing. They got rid of Capella, and then Trevor Ariza was gone, and then you had Chris Paul. You got rid of him, and now then you bring in Russell Westbrook, and now you trade him for John Wall. It seems like the Houston Rockets don't know what they're doing. Now, should a star have to sit around for these guys to figure out what it is that they want to do? I don't think it's fair. But for him to say, "Oh, I want to go to the Nets," now what you did is you hampered the team's ability to get a fair market value for you in the trade, because if they know that you want to get out of there, then the other teams are not going to offer the world to get a James Harden. They're going to offer you, pennies on the dollar. Mm-hmm. And that's the way the market works.
Yeah,
so, but it works. So I really don't like this. Everybody want to team up. And quite honestly, I think if Kyrie and KD is healthy in Brooklyn with the pieces that they have already, I think they're formidable. And I really believe that they could knock off the Lakers if they met head to head.
Okay, but now here's the problem. Everything you said is right. I'm not knocking anything you said. Everything you said is right. But when Houston lost Clint Capella, they lost him because they were getting ready to have to pay him, and they couldn't pay him the money they wanted to pay him because James Harden maxed out his contract. You know what I mean? That was the contract when he kind of maxed his contract. So
okay, I think
you can't listen. The problem is you can't do both. Now, when they make trades with these big power teams and everything else, let's say you put together a power team, right? Let's go around what you just said. You put together a power team and everything else. Those guys already have maxed out contracts, but now you messed up the future, because now you look at Cleveland, look at Miami, and if you ready to settle now for that power team, you're in the next 5 years. If you don't win now or the next 2 years, guess what happens? You're screwed for the next 15.
And let me ask you this. Here's a major point. You said they can't. Then how is James Harden going to get traded to Brooklyn when they got KD and Kyrie on a major contract? How does LA get players when they got LeBron and AD on a major contract? The Golden State Warriors got Klay Thompson. They got Draymond Green.
I'll tell you.
They got Steph Curry, and they're all on major contracts, and they still brought in Kevin Durant and paid him top dollar.
I'll tell you how it went. With New Jersey, when they made those bad trades with everything else, all that money came off the cap. New Jersey had one of the most money in the league to be able to do the deals that they did. Then also, they had structured in the contracts to be able to pay up to a certain amount if we add certain players. So they were doing contract adjustments. But that's how they did it. New York Knicks is sitting there right now. They're trying to get 2 or 3 players because they can do that too. New York Knicks, everybody knows they have the most money in the league overall, over everybody. But again, like I said, if you put 2 or 3 players in there and they don't win, they'll mess you up for the future. But anyway,
you still talking about you got the Golden States. You know what I mean?
Golden State is different because Golden State drafted their players and they got the hometown discount to be able to grow. They drafted Clay, they drafted Steph, they drafted Draymond. So as they grew, all those dudes didn't try to get Supermax contract.
But not only that, Fig, what you got to keep in mind when you're doing all these contracts, because I learned this with the Knicks back in the day. What happens is you can get a bunch of big time players. It's about structure.
Right.
So when Patrick Ewing was there and he wanted to bring in some people that was going to cost a lot of money to be there, his last big contract, all he did was balloon most of the money on the final year. Mm-hmm. So he pushed 30-something million way back to the end of the contract. So when you look at caps year by year, it is that year by year. So if I'm getting $5 million a year, whatever it is, I'm leaving a lot of money up to wiggle and play with other players structuring their thing. That's all.
Which goes back to what I said. Houston is not making smart moves because they're not structuring contracts so they can bring the people in necessary to make them a winner. If you don't have enough money to play a player,
that would be correct. That would be correct.
Yeah, their organization is off. And again, so why should James Harden want to stay there and they can't get their business together?
Yeah, let me interject. They did make those moves like that, but the pieces they brought in didn't result in the way that they thought they were going to do. Hence them bringing in Chris Paul and hence them bringing in Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? So they made some moves, but it didn't pan out the way they thought because they, just like you said, they made some other moves for people to leave and they ended up not making, of course, their championship run. But anyway, Talon, let me ask you this. Is it fair for Paul Silas, the young coach and everything else, to give James Harden his so-called space like right now? Because how does a team gel if the main guy is trying to get his space? That's what I mean. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. But, Paul Silas came out this morning and said, you know what, we're going to give James Harden his space. We're going to let him do what he got to do and everything else. But he's a disgruntled NBA star.
Yeah, it's a disruption. I don't care how you slice it. I mean, that's Silas being positive.
Right.
But the reality is it's disruptive.
Right.
It's unfair. It's disruptive. It's everything you described. And Paul Silas being the constant professional he is and optimist is like he's saying the good things right now, being professional. That's all that is.
Faye, what do you think?
I think he's in Silas is in he's in a precarious situation. Precarious. He's in a situation where it's like
now that's the word of the day, Frank.
Yeah,
hence is too short.
Hence is yeah, precarious.
It's like, what does he do, man? He's in a situation where he's in a no-win situation. You can't go and convince James Harden to stay. You're a brand new coach or whatever. If Harden has his mind made up that he wants to go, what is he going to do? You can't threaten the man. You know what I mean? He's just like in one of those situations where there's nothing that he can actually do. He has to just play it just like he's playing it now and say, hey, man, look, he doesn't make those decisions too. So here you go. You got a guy, that wants to get out of there, which is your star of the team. You can't make him play. And then you got the organization that is not making the moves necessary in order to make him happy. So what does the coach do? The coach is stuck in the middle between the player and the organization because those are the guys making the deals. Mm-hmm. All you can do is coach the team, especially this is his first year. He hadn't even coached one game yet for the Houston. So what can he do? All he can do is just sit back and watch it play out, which is a horrible situation for a first-time coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a bad situation. I don't like the situation he's put in at all. And not to mention, he's the son of a great player. Everybody's gonna be looking at him to see how he coaches and all. And then all of a sudden, he's coaching his first year in a COVID season and everything. And now he got this drama with James Harden.
Frank, something else that we didn't say about COVID, but I think it was like 45 NBA players tested positive for COVID already. Listen, I'm gonna take a page out your book. Here's my Pelican brief. If they don't go back into a bubble type situation, the NBA is going to be a lot worse off than the NFL.
Yeah, because they're interacting in spots they shouldn't be interacting in. But anyway, let's talk about Giannis because Giannis has to up until December 21st to sign his contract extension, his max out contract. Everything is floating. Everybody's saying in Milwaukee, oh, it's good. Everything's great and everything else. But December 21st is right around the corner. It's already December 4th. I don't know about you, Talent, but if I'm Milwaukee Bucks general management, I'm calling other teams right now and saying, just in case this dude don't sign it by December 20th, what you want to do? That's what I'm looking at right now. Because if he don't sign it, they're going to lose him for nothing. You know what I mean? They're going to lose him for nothing. So
he's going to sign it. I think he's playing some real Russian roulette right now, which is a smart tactic of a stall tactic. Like, if you have these days, you use these days. Because exactly what you said, that's what he wants them to do, is what you said. I want y'all to scramble and work hard on all these scenarios and keep you on your toes, because by being on the toes, I'm gonna get what I want. Y'all gonna be scrambling. Y'all gonna be putting Elmer's glue on stuff, construction paper, sprinkling glitter. You're gonna make this as good as you can make it for me to go back into this season. But he's gonna sign it, but he's gonna take up some time.
But Talent, Milwaukee hasn't built the team big enough for him. They haven't really made some major. They made a handful of moves, right, but they didn't become no NBA championship caliber team with the moves they made this year. So why?
If you're the Greek freak, you already think you're a championship. You just want a certain couple pieces, little, like I said, sprinkles. You don't need. Let's be honest. Look at where they got the last couple of years. They're at a caliber where they don't need to bring in the big guy. They don't need the Hardens, the Westbrooks. They don't need what a lot of teams need. They need a little tweaking and a little sprinkling. And I think with the whole Drew Holiday thing, the movement there to get a little more basketball IQ on the floor, because that's all they did. I think that's what they needed, because if you look at Milwaukee, they got all the shit done they need to get done, except decision making. When it came down to the wire and you needed basketball IQs to make those decisions, that's where they got to F at.
Okay. Do you agree with Talent?
You know what? I'll go back to this. The history of the NBA is that you need at least two stars to be able to win the championship. And right now,
I think you need three now. I'm sorry.
Well, I said at least two.
Yeah.
And the Milwaukee Bucks basically only have one. So they're in an unusual situation. I think the only way that the Milwaukee Bucks get over the hump is that the coach changes up the scheme. Having Giannis bring up the ball and try and just go 1-on-5 hasn't worked the last 2 to 3 years. So now it's time to change up what you do. And if you don't have another tool in your toolbox, then you don't need to be an NBA coach. If you switch up Giannis, give him an opportunity to be on the block sometime with some shooters around him so he can kick it out a la LeBron James and what have you, then the Milwaukee Bucks are not going to win. They do have some players that are formidable, but I don't think they're put in the best position to be able to win.
So for the record, I'm going to say that you agree with Talent.
Pretty much. Yeah, he need. I think that he needs more help in order to be able to win in Milwaukee. And if not, if it depends on what he wants to do. If he wants his money, then you definitely stay in Milwaukee and sign that max contract for over $200 million. But if you want to win championships, then you need to go to somewhere else where somebody is going to make you a contender. And if he decides, look, anybody put Giannis on the trading block, you give up hell and high water to get him. Any other team in the NBA.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh while you were talking, but I just saw a news alert that is hilarious. It's hilarious. You know what it is? Y'all are gonna laugh at this one. The news alert that just popped up on my phone is the NBA is suspending marijuana testing for the upcoming season.
It was like this COVID is driving me crazy, man. The only way I can get over it is
you know what that screams out, right? You know what? I don't know what you get from it, but what I get right away is Adam Silver smoking weed.
I get from it just what Fig said, like, yo, I can't take it no more. These walls is coming into me.
Yo, I'm telling you, son. When it comes to the top, trust me. He understands, because it's a stressed out time for everybody. You know what's amazing about COVID, and this is watching it the past year, bringing this into full scope. The amazing thing about COVID is whether you're rich or poor, it's stressing you out.
Yeah.
Like your money can't help you right now. The only thing that money can do is make maybe your home more comfortable than my home. You know, maybe the food you order is a step up from the food I order. Maybe, but other than that, like everybody's stuck in the same ball of stress.
Yeah, because the walls are the same, bro. That's it. The walls are the same. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
That's why I keep saying about COVID. COVID was the ultimate reset, man. It put everybody on the same playing level. It's like, I don't care how much money you got, what you gonna do with it? You gonna get on the plane and risk your life? What you gonna do? You take a cruise? Like, what you gonna do with your money? You gonna go to another country and try and relax there? Well, COVID is there too, because it's all over the world. So what you gonna do?
I just want to go back to the conversation we were talking about. For the record, you all both were saying that Giannis is gonna stay.
Yeah, I think.
And you know what? I think it's up in the air, Frank. I don't think just like I don't think if he gets the right deal. I think if Milwaukee gets the right deal, they get up off of him. You know what I mean? It makes sense, like what you said earlier. Like I would say, I'm giving him to the 19th or 20th, and if he don't sign, I'm already putting some deals in place to move him just in case he doesn't sign, because it would literally be the second worst decision that the Milwaukee Bucks organization has made. And the first one is when they lost Lou Alcindor, which turned into be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And if they lose Giannis, it will be just as big as that. If they lose him for nothing.
If not, it could be bigger. But you're absolutely right. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is Kevin Love is quietly making some noise. And Indiana Pacers talking to Kevin Love and the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, trying to get Kevin Love to Indiana and see what they could do right there for that. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I like Kevin Love going to Indiana Pacers, because I don't necessarily know if his style of play and the way they move the ball will work for Indiana. Now, it could if they change a lot of things to obviously make him happy. But the way they play now, I don't see it. What do you see, Talent?
I thought he was going to the Dallas Mavericks. What happened?
Dallas Mavericks didn't pull that. They didn't make that. They didn't pull that trigger because it looks like Dallas wanted too much in the trade. You know what I mean?
Dallas better not let me down and go black. They better keep going the way they was going. I had faith in them. I wanted to see the Hoosiers come together.
If Dallas hadn't asked for that third round pick, that second round those picks, they might have been able to. You would have had your Hoosiers, but Dallas asked.
Well, I see Kevin Love fitting in Indiana, because the one thing about Indiana, you got to give them credit. We've watched Indiana play 4 or 5 different ways of basketball. Mm-hmm. We've watched the Paul George era. We've watched the we can go back and look at the Hayward Workman era. We've watched the Rick Smith era. So when you look at all the different wavelengths and eras of Indiana, they do change according to their players. So we can't go off of last season or the season before, because if they bring in a Kevin Love, like you said, I could see them making adjustments to playing where he fits in. They've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, that's very true. What do you think, man? Think about Kevin Love landing in Indiana?
Man, you know what? I was laughing at the fact that it was Kevin Love, which is kind of funny because with the exception of Anthony Davis, who is suited to play with LeBron James, he crushes those players' reputation when they go to play with him, especially if they're not suited to play a style of basketball like an Anthony Davis. Kevin Love was a 20-10 dude when he was in Minnesota, and he went to Cleveland, and now he just like a regular dude. It's like nobody like Kevin Love. Like, why would anybody want Kevin Love? Yo, man, this dude was 20-10.
Yeah, he's
formidable on anybody's team. But guess what? Playing with LeBron James, making him a knockdown shooter, knock down his stock. It's like this dude can't play no more. It's horrible. It did the same thing with Chris Bosh. God bless him, man. He got the blood clot situation, but it did the same thing with Chris Bosh when he was in Toronto. He was 20-10. He was 20-10 rebounds all day, every day. Then people talk about Chris Bosh like he's garbage. Now they talking about Kevin Love like he's garbage. It's like you lowered his worth by making him a spot-up shooter when he was 20 points, 10 rebounds every day, all day, and without reservation. Now now he's like chopped liver. When you talk about Kevin Love, he's like a nobody no more.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous, man.
All right,
This dude is a baller, and he would be able to help with Indiana, I believe.
Let's move on and talk about the Lakers, because the Lakers yesterday made it official with AD. They made it official with LeBron. They made the announcement and everything else. I guess the question
Damn that AD.
I guess the question is talent. Dennis Schroeder now has been talks to start for the Lakers. Do you think the Lakers are done now with the wheeling and dealing? And there's two questions. Do you think the Lakers are done? And do you think the Lakers improved their roster with the way that they set as of right now? Talent, what you think?
No and no.
Okay.
I don't think they're done. And I also don't think that they've improved. I think they made, again, very close to a lateral movement. And I think that they're on notice, man. I think that this wasn't no coasting championship victory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This victory, and not that I'm putting the asterisk by it because it's a victory. But what I will do is say that you got this because of a lot of mishaps on the other teams and not just dominance.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't a dominating championship. This was a lot of the teams along the way having mishaps and matchup problems and coaching problems and different things that happen to fall in your favor to put you in a certain place. And enough things happen, you end up with Miami. Enough things happen where you get a championship. But as far as pieces and players, I think they've been put on notice. I don't think they got better. I don't think they're done. They may do one or two more things that make them better. But right now, if this is it, no and no.
Okay. All right. Same question to you, Fig. Do you think the Lakers are done making moves? And do you think they got better?
I don't think they got better because, although they picked up Montrezl Harrell, I don't think Montrezl Harrell is better than Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Mm-hmm. In the paint, they picked up Gasol. I don't think he, for the athleticism that JaVale and Dwight brought to the game, I don't think that that Gasol is a good replacement. And I like Schroeder as a player because he's a dog, man. He plays defense, he plays hard, but he don't have the court savvy and generalship of a Rondo. So when it comes, for the regular season, they may be great, but when it comes to the playoffs, I don't see it. I just don't see them have gotten better. Like Talon said, I don't know who else they could get. They lost like Danny Green, which he missed a shot, but he knocked down some shots. Mm-hmm. He knocked down a lot of 3-pointers too. Mm-hmm. They kept Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They still got Kuzma. They got the pizza delivery boy. I think it was lateral. Maybe they took a slight step back, but a slight step back for the Lakers with LeBron and AD is still championship contenders.
All right. Now, last question I want to ask before we start to move on. I might come back to the NBA depending on how we look for time, because I also want to be able to talk about the NFL and then do the top dogs. But the last question, do you think there's going to be any major moves more? Because as we all know, the season got shortened. Everything's moving at light speed. Also, there are issues that people are talking about right now, before obviously the NBA bubble and stuff comes off. So I guess the thing is, I want to ask you, Tom, do you think the NBA is going to make there's going to be some more major movement with trades? And do you think the NBA overall as a league is going to drop these dudes in a bubble or somewhere along the lines of the bubble? Because we all discussed off air, on air, everything else. But COVID didn't go away. It got worse since the NBA bubble was there. But so it's a two-part question. What do you think?
I don't know if they're going to go into a bubble right away. I think if they were going to go into a bubble right away, we would know it already. Mm-hmm. I think there's more moves to be made, trades-wise. I think they're going to – a couple of more shockers left. We got at least 2 or 3 more shockers left in those moves. But I think the bubble – correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the original mindset was the bubble was for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Because you had a certain amount of teams and it was a lot more manageable than if you put the whole league in a bubble right now. I think that would cause so many – I don't think they're ready for that. Well, maybe the only answer to that is more than one bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a more than one bubble, maybe. But how still, it's a lot of logistics to go with that. I just think you're dealing with a lot of teams, and schedules are coming out and all that stuff. Might be a little tough to manage all that. I think at some point, maybe if you structure it down the line as you get close to the playoffs, it's more believable. Because even if you say we take a 2-week break from the last regular season game to the playoffs kicking off, there's your quarantine time. Then we play.
I guess everything you said makes a whole lot of sense. But Fig, I think that the crammed off season is going to affect some teams more than than others. You know what I mean? Like I think even though everybody's talking about the Lakers this, the Lakers that, and everything else, like I asked the question just a few minutes ago, I still think the bubble thing might come into effect faster than we expect. I think the crammed off season by the Lakers and the Miami going so far and then turn around, I think it's going to affect somebody in some teams and some players more so. And honestly, I'll even throw it out there and say this, Fig. I think some teams are dreading having to play in a bubble if they have to go and play in a bubble. What's your thoughts?
I think first off, I think the first part of the question was, do I think there'll be some more moves? I do.
Right.
Still, 2.5 to 3 weeks left where the NBA can still make moves. So I think, I don't think all of the teams are finished just yet. And on the COVID thing, I think what Talent said made a lot of sense, that multiple bubbles would probably be the best thing, each team creating a bubble in their own city and then coming out when it's time to go play. You go from your bubble situation to your chartered plane to the next city, play, and then you have to have a bubble for visiting teams in each city, that way. But to bring all of the teams together in one central location, I don't think that'll happen. Some form of bubble is going to be necessary, because I don't know if you remember in the beginning of the show, you said all of Los Angeles is shut down.
Mm-hmm.
If other cities do things that way, if other cities begin to shut down like they did Los Angeles, then how could these guys be moving around, you know what I mean, and still playing, free when we have entire US cities shut down? That doesn't make sense. So what Talent said makes a lot of sense. Different bubbles, what form of that, how that would be, rolled out, I don't know, but I think that would be the best case scenario, because again, we said, what was it, like 40 some, 50 some players already tested positive?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
When they first reported, and they haven't even released the numbers yet about what the numbers going to be today. So it's going to be a lot of players it's going to still affect, because the players, as we all know, they mixing with their girlfriends, their wives. They're still going out to the clubs. They're still doing all these different things. They're going to the supermarket. They're hanging out. They shop. They do all that. When you interact with people, that's when it's not like.
But hold on, I just had an epiphany. Think of this.
Wait a minute. The new word is epiphany.
So what's your epiphany, Talent?
LA's on lockdown. Nobody's out in the streets.
Right.
Fig said the possibility other places may start doing this. If nobody's outside in the streets and the places are on lockdown, now going outside is the bubble. Mm-hmm. There's nobody out there to give me nothing. Think about that.
That's one of the moments that make you go,
It's very deep. Think about that.
I thought about that.
If everybody's in their house, you lock them down, empty outside. Isn't that the real bubble now?
Yeah, it is. But people have to be willing to participate and do that. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean? If
the team is the only thing shaking, everything's closed. Nobody's out.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about moving bubble to bubble. Think about that, Fig. If things are locked down in these other cities, which I think is going to happen in January anyway, but when everybody locks down, the outside now, if this team per se has to move around bubble to bubble, I think it's less risk of them getting COVID moving that way.
The worst part about this is that the only way, because some people are like so against this whole mass bubble type situation, I think the only way that they're going to be, the way they're going to be able to lock down cities is that we're probably going to have to go into martial law. And I know Marshall. He's a friend of mine. I mean, we've done shows together. So if we go into martial law, I mean, I feel good about him having his own law, but you know, I'm gonna call him up and see if he can give me a break.
Yo, silly. Let's talk about the NFL now. This morning, news jumped off that Josh Gordon got reinstated for the last 2 games of the season for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, here's a scary thought, talent. Josh Gordon on the right and DK Metcalf on the left. So, you know, if I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, when I heard that this morning, I'm pretty happy. I'm like, whoa. So he's going to get reinstated? That makes Seattle was already, you know, the thought process was already that they already a Super Bowl contending team. Now, is he going to be that much of a difference? What you think, Count?
That's what we thought before we seen they ain't had no damn defense.
Yeah, bingo.
So the key is this: you can have all the fun you want on offense. If you can't stop the other guy from scoring, means nothing. You know what I mean? That's the thing that we always, and I got to use the analogy of the NBA. That was the thing we always looked at, a Kobe and a Jordan when we had that argument before there was even LeBron. We was arguing that which guy shut the other guy down. Yeah, they both scored 45, but what did the other guy have? Because if I have 45 and the guy I'm guarding gets 45, I ain't do shit.
Right.
So I say that to say Seattle, in the beginning of this season, we looked at the quarterbacks, we looked at the team, we was like, yo, Seattle, blah, 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 a lot of talk. And then fast forward 6-7 weeks, everybody start doing this. And everybody said, hey, man, is it me or they ain't got no damn defense?
Yeah, I like this part.
This when you think. I don't know why people do this when they think. You act like the brain is right here.
That's how you automatically started.
Right. So this is a great additive, Frank, as far as the offense. But to me, the offense it was not the problem. When you look at those scores week to week, there's a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks in there where they had a bad game and they didn't get off offensively. But a lot of those games, they've always gotten off offensively, but they can't stop the pass. They have no pass defense. You know, this team runs all over them. You know what I mean? And that's the funny thing. For a lot of weeks, people thought it was just the pass defense until they started playing teams who had both.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop the run either.
They can't do anything. I mean, let's be honest. They can't do anything on the defensive side of the ball. But, you know, you can – there have been some teams that got to the Super Bowl that had absolutely no defense. So, Fig? I mean, let's be honest. There's some teams that offense is so great. They like, wow. Kansas City Chiefs, they didn't have no great
Exactly. Words out of my mouth.
Anomaly. Huh? They're not getting to the anomalies, we call those. Another word of the day, anomaly. That means that's something special that stands alone. Seattle's not special and standing alone.
He gave us the word and the definition. Word and the definition.
Yeah, man, you know what? Now it's going to get to the point that you watch the box seats, you got to break out your thesaurus.
Yeah, you can.
So what the hell did he just say?
So what you think, Nick?
Yeah, man, you know what? They get better on offense. It sort of helps them out with the teams that they have to outscore. You know what I mean? And hopefully your defense or your special team can make plays. I see Seattle having a strong chance of getting there because of Russell Wilson and what they do have. I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans because the Tennessee Titans seem to be built to play good in cold weather. I don't see New Orleans, unfortunately, because of the injury to Drew Brees. And I think the injury to Drew Brees is such that I don't think that it's wise. Even if he can, I don't think it's wise for him to make a comeback this year because of his injuries were so bad. You know what I mean? It's so horrific. A punctured lung, cracked ribs. I don't even think he should come back, especially if he was a younger quarterback, I'd say maybe, but because of his age.
Hey, let's keep it real. Those are Black Lives Matter hits right there. We said that before the season started. They're gonna come for him for his remarks. Those are Black Lives Matter joints right there.
I didn't even think about that. That's
they hit him in the ribs. They hit him in the ribs. Ribs.
And fractured his skull.
Yeah, they got him. They got him.
But man, listen, I think that look, honestly, Seattle got better and they were already good.
Right.
You know what I mean? They were already good. I'm not saying great, but they were good. They were definitely good.
They got better on the offensive side of the ball. Overall, we'll see how good they do, you know, especially the next couple of weeks. But most importantly, we're going to be looking at the last 2 games of the season to see how they put in Josh Gordon with DK Metcalf. Because honestly, I think they can run a lot of teams straight out the building with those 2 dudes. We'll see. You know, we'll see. Anyway, it's that time. I got to get ready to make moves to have the top dogs come into play because I want to ask.
Top dog, yeah.
We got to get the top dogs in because it's that time. It's 45.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the top dogs of the week. It's Friday, and if you're ready for the top dogs, let me hear your ball. Ladies and gentlemen, I got number 1 on my list. Now, listen, these are in no particular order. These are just my 5 top dogs for the week. Number 1, I got my man, Mr. King Henry, O. Henry, Derrick Henry, ladies and gentlemen, of remembering the Titans beating down the Colts 45-26. This man had 27 rushes for 178 yards and 3 touchdowns. Can you say beat down? Give it to my man, O. Henry, that dog. And I got to give it to my man, the AARP quarterback himself, makes it again, getting it done over the Chicago Bears in a rivalry game. I got to give it to my man, A.A. Rodgers, AARP Rodgers, 41-25 over the Chicago Bears, 21 for 29, 211 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 100. And no, wait a minute, getting 4 interceptions, no interceptions, and he's still what is well known as that bad man. Aaron Rodgers getting it done. I got to give it to my man, Mr. Homeboy, Patrick Mahomes himself, over the Kansas City Chiefs, defeating the GOAT, Tom Brady, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, ladies and gentlemen. Mashed them up. He had 462 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Got to give it to my homeboy Patrick Mahomes, and helping him out on the same team. I got to give it to my man, Mr. Tyreek Hill, probably the fastest receiver, and probably the fastest player in the NFL, with 13 receptions, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, a backflip into the end zone on one of those. He was playing like he was in a video game. This man actually had 203 yards in the first quarter. Mashing them up. Giving it to my man Tyreek Hill. He's a dog.
He even called to see if anybody wants some help on the sideline.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, listen, he picked up the phone and he was like, hey, help is on the way. But no help showed up. No help showed up.
Help is on the way.
And last but not least, on my top 5 dogs, I got to give it to this dude who was impersonating Megatron. As a matter of fact, the opposition coach said, hey, man, you great, but you ain't no Calvin Johnson. You ain't no Megatron. He was like, really? He's like, let me show you that I'm a dog. This man, DK Metcalf, a man against boys in the battle of the birds, the Seahawks over the Eagles. He ran 10 receptions for 177 yards, almost single-handedly crushed the Philadelphia Eagles by himself. DK Metcalf. He's a dog.
I like that list. I gotta add one. Can I add one of special performance? I gotta add one special performance by that dude that we talked about this morning, Luka Garza, averaging 34 points as a center in the last 4 games in college. 30 points in the first half. Wow! Like that boy 7'2". Man, you think the Celtics can get him? Talent. Can you make a call?
You just said you didn't even like the dude. Now you want him. You got to make up your mind. Because I didn't like him. You're worried about injuries. Now you want him.
Yeah, because just in case.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, in the illustrious words of Rodney Perry, he said that I knew we wouldn't be able to get through the show without Frank pulling the Boston Celtics out his ass. Yeah.
Well, I will say this. Timing is everything, is even in the NBA. You know, remember the Brooklyn Nets were the New Jersey Nets.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So you know now this past election, recreational weed is legal in the state of New Jersey. They moved the team too fast.
Way too fast. Way too fast.
I know Kyrie and them over there like, damn.
He was like, can we go back to New Jersey? I mean, it's right there. It's right there. It's just right through the tunnel. If we go right through the tunnel, we'll be there.
Well, since we talk about New York, let me ask you this, Tal. We go through coach firings all the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know I'm gonna ask you about Adam Gase. Again, I'm gonna say now Adam Gase the Jets are now, what are they, 0-10 or 11? They haven't won one game, and Adam Gase is still the head coach of the Jets. When they hire him?
Well, they put a statement out a few weeks ago, saying that they're gonna ride the season with him. And so I presume at the end of the season, which I agree with. Like, why fire somebody when the hope is pretty much gone? Like, there is no coming back. There is no making a run, getting the playoffs. So let this guy finish out. You know what I mean? Do the work. We've got to pay you anyway. And at the end of the season, let's relook at this situation. I mean, that's one of those nil feelings. Like, you're not for it. You're not against it. It's so nil. It's like, man, it's like an So I get it, you know what I mean? But they did say that, I want to say 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, the owner issued a statement that they're just going to finish out.
Okay, Fig, I will assume that you agree with him, but I want to ask you a different question. Do the Jets end up taking that number 1 draft pick and drafting a QB and get that Trevor Lawrence kid?
Man, I'm gonna answer both of y'all just like this. Let me tell you what you should do with Adam Gates. When the season is over, you should push him out the gate and then close it behind Gates. That's what you need to do. Push him out the gate and then close it behind him. That's what you do with Adam Gates. But here's the thing. You got to hold on to him because Adam Gates is a loser. And you can't take the chance on the Jets winning the game because that'll take him out of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. Yep. So you need him to keep losing. That's why you got to hold him until the end of the season because you say, God damn, if we keep Adam Gates, he's going to lose the rest of these games and we'll be in the Trevor Lawrence. We're guaranteed to get Trevor Lawrence. You say, Adam Gates, if you win one game, you said, I swear to God, win a game to see what happens to you.
I know this is a family show, Fig, but
I don't know if I'm the Jets. You know, the funny thing is, if I'm the Jets, I keep Sam Darnold. I'd rather keep something I know I have versus trying to take a guess on something I don't know just yet. You know what I mean?
Man, but let me ask you this: here's the problem. If you're the Jets, can you take that chance on losing a once in a lifetime generational type talent of a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence? Like, can you take if you're another team, Frank? I'm with you 100%. But if you're the Jets, can you really take that chance?
I can't dispute you, but I will say this: they said the same thing about Ryan Leaf, and right now he's a sports commentator. You know what I mean? He didn't play nothing. They said the same thing. Exactly my point. Everybody said the same thing about Ryan Leaf. And how many games he played? Where he turned up at? I mean,
I don't even remember Ryan Leaf.
That's my point.
The only Leaf I know is the one that goes in between your table at Thanksgiving time so you can make it bigger.
The only Leaf I know is the one you shovel up outside. You rake. You outside because that's like you got to pick up the leaf because
the only Leaf I know is at the end of the word disbelief.
Count, what would you do? Would you take him? I mean, last wrap up. Would you take Trevor Lawrence?
I think Fig has a point in the whole thing of when you have this opportunity, you have to capitalize on it. That's the sweepstakes you want to be in. You got to take that chance. I like Sam Darnold. I think he's very efficient, bona fide. You put the right piece around, you give him a line, he can make some good things happen. But you can also get stuff for him. You know what I mean? So you get the sweepstakes, you get this phenom, so to speak, and then you get stuff for him. You put that along with all the draft picks and stuff we got, we can make some shit happen.
And I'm going to tell you something else. Here's something else. Sam Darnold, I believe, gets about, if he stays into next year, he's due like $27 million.
Yeah, he is.
If you get Ryan Leaf, you get him on a rookie contract, which leaves you a lot. Not Ryan. I mean Trevor Lawrence.
Ryan
got leaves on the brain.
That was funnier though. That was much funnier though.
If you get Trevor Lawrence, you get him on a rookie contract, and then you can spend the rest of your money and your picks to put a better team around him to give him the support that you couldn't give Sam Darnold.
But you gotta hear how that sounded with the money. You said this guy about to get 25. Now if you get rid of him and you get Ryan Leaf.
You
took the team right to the dollar store. You went right to the dollar store. You get that 25 million. But if you get Ryan Leaf,
get him out of the commentating booth. Put him on the field.
I'll tell you right now, I'm putting that clip up. The Fig said to get Ryan Leaf.
That's very funny.
I met Trevor Lawrence, man, but that's funny. Ryan Leaf.
Well, anyway, y'all, that's the show. It's Friday.
What already? We just started.
We gotta get ready.
We just started.
But I don't think I'm gonna forget that Ryan Leaf comment all weekend.
That shit, the timing of that is so funny though, because it was making sense. Like if you don't know and think if he's still playing, it makes all the sense in the world, money wise, cap wise. It's like, no, that's 25 million. You get rid of that. You get Ryan Leaf. I just started laughing like Ryan Leaf is.
Oh man, that's definitely making the bloopers.
Oh,
it definitely is. Yeah, the blooper will be up in about 2 hours.
Man, I'm glad Rodney Perry ain't here to hear that. Lord have mercy.
He'll hear it. He'll hear it. He'll hear it. He'll go talk about it. Challenge everybody out there how they can follow you.
Hey everybody, thanks for supporting the box seats, man. Monday through Friday, 1 to 2. Right now, you can catch your brother on the social media. I'm on Twitter at It's Just Comedy, Instagram, Talent Duck Comedian, and Facebook, King Talent Harris. See your boy. Get at your boy.
Fig.
I'm on the box seats every Monday through Friday at 1 to 2 p.m. I got that box seat mug. That's right. That's only for the box seats, baby. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at Comedian Fig on all social media platforms. Yo, T, bring me some of them buffalo wings back, yo.
Hey, I got you. You can also find Fig at RyanLeaf.com.
Hey, if y'all want a box seats cup like this, or a mug, reach Talent got them. Talent got for sale. Talent, how much man for sale? How much are these, man?
20 cash, man. $20 get you a mug or a cup or sippy.
Yeah.
You got the sippy cup like me today, the sip party cup.
Yeah,
Yo,
y'all.
man, I gotta send you some money, man. Send me a sippy cup too, man, because sometimes I want to drink some juice.
We do all that. We do all that. Anyway, the box seats. I'm Frank. That's Talent. That's Fig. This show is called The Box Seats. The show is on the platform called The Humor Mill. We're on the app. We're on Android, iOS. Tell a friend to download the app. Also, you can call your cable service provider. Next week, we have a lot of guests. We lining them all up because, you know, the NBA season get ready to get underway. We're going to talk about more NFL playoffs. We got to talk college football. Got to talk about some baseball moves and stuff that happened. All of that and then some. We'll be back next week, of course, doing what we do Monday through Friday. I'm Frank. Y'all have a good weekend. Take care.